Hello YouTube, JMontana36 here with a new video on how to set up and configure a bait virtual machine for tech support scammers. Now you may be thinking, hey, what makes this video different from the others already out there? Well, unlike the other videos, this one shows you how to disguise your virtual machine, making it look as realistic as possible to tech support scammers. Now let's get to it, shall we?
Walked in the bank, came out, run, skirt in my car. You would've thought I stole some money. Hell high, mailman.
Alright, so we'll need two things. VirtualBox obviously, and the VBox system information modifier. I'm assuming you already have VirtualBox downloaded and installed. If you don't, go ahead and do so now. But in the meantime, we'll be downloading the VBox system information modifier. And you can do so by going to Google, searching for JMontana36, clicking on the first link here. On the side, downloads, and you see VBox info modifier. For this website, I'm actually planning to completely change and redesign it and have like a section that has the fake CMD, fake notepad, and etc. But after you download, you want to open it, extract it to the desktop, but you could extract it anywhere, it's just easier to find on the desktop. And we don't need it right now, but here you see we have two files, the readme file, and we have the program. Alright, so now we'll be setting up and configuring the virtual machine to be used against tech support scammers. I'll be using Windows 10, so I'll name this Win 10 just to make it easier for myself later in the video. And as for memory size, you should leave this default at 2048 megabytes, which is equal to 2 gigabytes. And I don't think you'd ever need more than 2 gigabytes of RAM for virtual machine, especially when you're using it for tech support scammers. But it also depends on how much RAM you have in your system. You should go with 4 gigabytes only if you're gonna be doing a virtual machine inside of a virtual machine. But you can also do 1536 megabytes for 1.5 gigabytes or 1024 for 1 gigabyte. You may notice for me, these steps look different, but that's because I'm in expert mode and not guided mode. But for virtual hard disk, you may want to put something, well, it depends. It doesn't really matter what you put as long as it's dynamically allocated, but to make it realistic, it just depends. If you want to put like 320 gigabytes, you can go ahead and do so, but if you put like 256 gigabytes or less, you'll be making one change, which is making the virtual machine treat its virtual hard disk as a solid state disk instead of a regular hard disk. That's because most solid state drives that are out now, even though I've seen like 6 terabyte solid state drives and all of that out now, to be realistic, you'd wanna choose something small and then set it up to look like solid state. For this, I'll be using 128 gigabytes, so I'll set this to emulate solid state. But if I were to put 320 or higher, I would have left it as hard drive. Now we'll head into settings, and in system, change pointing device to PS/2 mouse. These you could leave as default, but to me the default bothers me, so I change this here and then do that. And as for here, for now you want to bump the settings up to the maximum, and also check this, but you want to bump everything up to the maximum that you're able to do for now, and then here you'll be leaving this. You'll change that afterward, but changing this allows you to get rid of that virtual machine yes thing in Task Manager. For some reason they say with this here that changing this to none or disabling, they say that you get a huge performance hit. However, in the previous video I did on this, I haven't seen any performance hits. And as for this here, the 3D acceleration, you can enable this or disable it, but what you want to do, it depends on what you really, if you want the virtual machine display to be like smoother, basically, you'd enable it, but you really don't need that enabled. And video capture, you can enable that if you want to like record directly in the virtual machine without having the recording software record your entire screen or record a specific section. That could record the entire thing for you. As for storage, you'll want to check this here and select the hard disk here on the side. As I stated, anything 256 and under you want to do solid state, and anything 320 and above you want to leave it as regular hard disk, which is unchecked. Audio, leave that as Intel HD or set it as that. Network adapter, leave that as NAT. You could do bridged, but I really don't recommend, as bridge would basically allow the virtual machine to access the network. Basically as if that virtual machine was really connected instead of virtualized and connected through the computer. It would be as if it were directly connected to your network, which would allow the virtual machine to communicate directly with any device on the network, including your host computer. And you know we don't want that. As for these, we could leave these as they are. You could even set up additional network adapters if you'd like, but for this video we won't be doing that. Serial port will leave everything here disabled. For here you just uncheck this, but for some reason I like to do this and then uncheck it, because once again that bothers me. And now we've basically configured the virtual machine, but we're not done yet. The next thing we'll want to do is to install Windows 10 or whatever version you're going to install. What you want to do is hit F12 when that screen shows up and it'll bring you to this. Then optical drives. If you have a Windows disk image, go ahead and select host drive, and the letter will vary depending on the number of CD drive. Wait, I don't even know if I said number or I said letter, but anyway, the letters will vary depending on the number of CD drives and regular drives you have connected, but it's usually D. For me, I have an ISO file. Please don't ask me where to obtain Windows image files because I can't really, well, I can provide them, but I don't think I should. But to find them, just Google Windows ISO. But between Windows and ISO, you'll want to put whatever version. And then now select C for CD-ROM. And now we'll be installing Windows 10. You can see that the loading circle seems a bit laggy right now, which is where that 3D acceleration would have come in handy. But like stated, it really isn't needed. And the reason we changed that pointing device from USB tablet to PS/2 mode is so that you can see my pointer here moving around. It's not interacting with the virtual machine even though it's over it. And I would need to click into it to have it capture my pointer. That helps if you want to leave the virtual machine so that when you hover over it, it doesn't interact with the machine. Now when you're ready to exit the virtual machine, it's right alt I think or something like that. I changed mine to right control. So you see I got my mouse out of it so I can go between anything else and not interact with the virtual machine. This should go by really fast, but if it doesn't, you'll realize that I cut to the end of this. Alright, now here it doesn't matter what we choose, so we'll just do Express setting. I remember Windows 7 when it used to just be ready almost instantly after installing. But then again, I like the way Windows 10 has it because it actually downloads and installs most of the drivers, even though some of the drivers aren't really the best drivers for the hardware. You may or may not have these options, but you select local. Here you could put any name. I'll just be using owner. I'm pretty sure some of you remember the HP computers used to have the default username as owner and the computer name as owner-PC. That's just a trend that I've noticed on a bunch. Well, I'm pretty sure that it's official. No one wants to go through the long process of installing Windows 10 over and over to use it against multiple scammers and stuff. Luckily, I'll be teaching you a way how to avoid reinstalling each time too. So we're finally here. You could press trust, but the only thing on this network, since it's NAT, is this computer. So it's not able to access any other, well, I mean this virtual machine. So this virtual machine is only able to access the internet and itself in the local loopback. But now that we're on the desktop, let's have a look. MS Info 32. These here will need to change. Well, this here, I forgot if it changes it or not. Even though I have the script right there in the bottom right, the source code for that program we downloaded earlier. But see right here, a hypervisor has been detected. This here is what causes the thing in Task Manager. But you see how the virtual machine is like lagging? That's where that 3D comes in once again. But see, virtual machine, yes. That's because of right here, a hypervisor has been detected. But for right now, what you want to do is to install all your programs, install Google Chrome, Mozilla, Fake CMD, whatever you want to put in this virtual machine. Steam, random games, basically whatever, and put in this virtual machine. Once you're done, you want to shut down. And before we get to the program, let's just change some of these settings for the virtual machine again. System, processor. Now change this back to the default if you like. It just depends on your preferences. The execution cap. If you wanna tell the tech support scammers that your computer is slow, I recommend setting this to 50% or just before here. Changing this to 50%, I recommend dropping this to the minimum and setting this to 50%. As for acceleration, to get rid of the task manager thing with the virtual machine, yes, you want to change this to none. And then now, we'll get to this program here. There's a readme file here if you want to take a look. You could pause the video to read it if you want, or when you download it you could read it yourself. Alright, now to the program. So I named mine Win10. So now here we'll be specifying a system vendor. Keep in mind that you could put anything you want even if the vendor isn't a real vendor. So here we go. Let's just pick Dell. since most people say that their computer says Dell, their virtual machine monitor or system, and let's say Optiplex 745 as the vendor product. And right here, you see it says shut down any and all VirtualBox VMs before continuing. And the reason it says that is because it closes all the open windows that belong to VirtualBox. So you should, unless you don't really care about the virtual machine, and leave it open, but you should close it. And then once you close it, you just hit any key and it'll close any that are open, like you've noticed, and it'll start to modify the information. Then here you can either you see basically there are additional things. You can open my website where you downloaded this tool from, or you can modify another virtual machine or exit. And as you see, it opens my website when I type site, but right now we'll exit, and once you exit, it'll automatically open the virtual machine front and back, and you just click on start. Right now we're starting it up to verify that the MS Info 32 and Task Manager have been successfully changed, and then afterwards we'll be taking a snapshot of this virtual machine the way it is, so that it can be reused over and over again. Yeah, changing the box system information, it might go through that second progress with setting up devices and stuff like that again. But it's really quick and short. That typically means that it successfully changed the stuff that it needed to change. Don't tell me I forgot this. Oh, I just typed it wrong somehow. I would have been upset if I were to forget this password or have typed it wrong twice in the confirmation box. But let's head over to MS Info 32 now. Yeah, as you can see, with that thing set to 50%, it's acting really sluggish. See, look at that. So set that to 50%, and there's your excuse for calling them that it's slow. Besides wasting their time. And as you can see, system manufacturer Dell, system model Optiplex 745. And right here, BIOS version /date, Dell, a randomly generated number, and this will always be the same for now until I somehow create a version that can randomly generate a date from the past. But for now, you shouldn't say that you got, well, maybe you can say that you got the computer before this date, but it'd be a little bit less convincing. Maybe I'll create one that'll let you pick the date yourself. but see baseboard manufacturers listed here as well. And see the thing at the bottom is gone. Which brings us to the next thing, Task Manager. We'll head to Performance, and as you can see over here, Virtual Machine Yes is gone, and it says Virtualization Not Capable. So now once you've got that, you can shut down the virtual machine. Oh yeah, one other thing. You may wish to remove disk from virtual drive. That's something I forgot to do earlier. So if they go to computer, they won't see the ISO file or the CD in the host drive. So if you're using ISO, remember to do that. Or if you're using the CD, remember to take it out of your computer's drive. Every time you'll basically be able to restore back to this point. Every time you make a change to the virtual machine or allow a scammer into it, you just basically restore back to this point. And what you could do with the modifier again, each time you run it, even if you use the same system information, there's some slight variations that it does to the virtual machine. Like as you saw, it says Dell, then it has a random number, and then it has that date. That date will always be the same, but the number in between those will always be generated differently. But to also show you this feature that you could do, will be, oh, I typed this wrong. As you can see, it's like almost 3 in the morning. So I'm not even paying attention. So we'll name this Anti-Scammer Box. We'll say the vendor product is that. And now we'll just start it up to see what happens. Well, I already know what happens. For this video, it's just to show you that it works. And as you see right here shows what I entered. And yes, you can actually put exclamation marks and I forgot what that is, hyphen, you could put semicolons, apostrophe, there we go, put basically whatever you want, even though I haven't tested any non-letter and non-number characters. But from what I can see, you can most likely set whatever you want. But when you click X, you can power off the machine and also restore the snapshot from before I changed the name, and it'll restore it back to the name that was there before. So you're able to reuse the virtual machine against scammers again. The other thing that you may want to do is from that menu, you may want to install the virtual machine or VirtualBox guest editions, which so we go, you may want to switch this here. Switch this to this PC so it opens this PC every time you click File Manager or File Explorer. And we'll just insert again. There are actually a bunch of other ways to find out about it being a virtual machine, even though the places they checked are covered now. But for someone smart like me, I'll be able to find out if it's a virtual machine in seconds, even if you make sure to have it seem like it's not. But for a scammer, it's really hard for them to find out it's a virtual machine because they're not looking in the right places. They're looking in the regular places normal people would look in, if anything. But they don't go deep to find out. So let's also eject this. And now it allows me to, well, the guest editions you don't really need to install, but apparently it makes it so PS/2 still gets picked up now. I don't really like that, but I guess usually I don't use the guest editions, but if you want like drag and drop and stuff like that, there's shared folders where inside the virtual machine it'll appear as the network drive, and then there's also shared clipboard. You probably want that bi-directional, drag and drop bi-directional as well, which would allow you to drag and drop between your actual computer and the virtual machine. But here, what you want to do, right click, go to properties, and hide this folder. Apply to this folder only. And as you see, it's still here, but that's because the version of Windows I'm using is a modified version, optimized for speed and gaming in general. So you want to have that set to hide, which is Windows default. And here you also want to, you could either leave this here or you can get rid of it. Actually, I think getting rid of it would cause it to not load the thing when startup, which would basically set everything back to the way it was before you install it. But it would still be, I don't even know now. I didn't really plan this video out, I just randomly aimed to create this video. And I just spoke improperly. What do you know, it still works without it. So that means that that part is just unnecessary to be loaded there. But I was gonna say, why did it still pop up even though I disabled it, but it didn't. So yeah, that part is unnecessary, so that's how you disable it, since apparently clicking and right clicking doesn't do it. But that's how you hide it. Then now you're able to, apparently still not working for me. Okay, that's nice. That's more than likely because I disabled that thing from showing up. They should have it like VMware where you could disable it from showing up but still have it running. Because you wouldn't want the scammer to see. But that's all for now, I think. But just as a notice, if you're gonna go between scammers, like from one scammer to another, you could do it with the same virtual machine unless they go and try to like log the system information that was there, which in that case you'd want to rerun this program and go through the whole process again. And it'll generate a different set of information even if you select the same model computer. Like if you put the same information twice, it'll generate different information with the same system. And that's basically all for now. Sorry for this long, terrible video. Pretty sure it was boring. Half of you probably haven't even made it this far. But if you have, feel free to drop a like if this helped you. Subscribe if you'd like to see me do more videos like this. Also, dislike the video if you didn't like it or if you didn't really make it this far or whatever. Like, basically, tell me what you feel, how you think, what you think. Leave a like if you like, leave a dislike if you didn't like, subscribe if you'd like to see more. Peace.